Welcome to Next Man Up, the newest online show about the local Philippine basketball scene and Filipino hoopers around the world. We discuss the upcoming basketball news and, of course, the next and upcoming stars of the Philippines. My name is Diego Dario, professional hooper here in the Philippines and also a basketball analyst for the UAAP and the PBA. And together with me, of course, is my former teammate back when we were playing with the UP Fighting Maroons is no other no other than Mr. Hot Takes Gelo Vito, the stretch four, also a professional basketball player here in the Philippines. Gelo, what it do?
Hey Jigs, good day Jigs, and good day to all the listeners. So we have so many things to discuss today. I'm really excited to talk about all of that.
Yes, sir. So before we move on to the main event, to probably the biggest event that happened the past week, we still want to talk about the other events, especially basketball wise, that are happening here in the Philippines. But before we get into that, just a reminder to follow us, follow Globally Ballin on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, Globally Ballin as well. On Instagram, it's at Globally Ballin Official. We have a lot of shows out there. An Eternity of Basketball. Of course, we talk about the PBA legends and what they're doing right now. We have Hang Time with Denise Dinsay, another great show. Mostly a lot of volleyball guests with there, but other guests including Isaac Go and Brix Ramos. Of course, two UAAP champions have been there as well. Mukbang with Jho Jho, Joe Maraginot, where they talk about volleyball. A lot of different guests also come into that show while they're eating. So it's a very, very chill show. And we also have Who the Heck Are We? So we guessed a lot of different sports in the Philippines, from soccer, the hockey, the basketball, and everything in between. So globally, Ballin really encapsulates a lot of sports icons in the Philippines. But Jello, let's move it on to, of course, the Gilas game first. The Gilas won yesterday against Thailand, but it was a close one, Jello. What can you say about that game, and were you surprised of the result?
Well, I was kind of surprised at the start, but again, knowing all of our Southeast Asian countries around the Philippines has been improving in terms of the game of basketball. Speaking of Thailand, they really had a great start against the Philippines. And the Philippines actually stormed back from a 10-point deficit
Hmm.
from and that start. But you gotta give credit to our national team, to our professionals who really came up big. Most especially the six-time PBA MVP and June
Yes,
Fajardo,
sir.
double double, a huge double double game, 28 points and 12 rebounds, and very efficient, 12 of 15 from the field.
And of course, talk about the other stars of that game. Third year Ravenna with 17. This is what happens when you have pro guys on your team. Tautua with 9, Pogoy with 6. Kiefer Ravenna being the point guard that he is. He had 5 points, but had 9 assists together with that. Matthew Wright with 4. Rosario with 3. Montalvo with 2. Isaac Go also with 2. But Jello, Coach Chot actually mentioned that this Thailand team was the team that he was looking out for because they have a lot of Thai foreigners here. So not just pure Thailand players, some D1 players I think who played in different parts of the world. You know, they gave the Philippines a scare, 76-73, just a 3 point win for the Philippines. Not the usual sight that we see because in the Southeast Asia, usually we dominate here. A lot of 20-point blowout games, and it's nice to see our fellow Southeast Asian countries, neighbors, actually catching up with the basketball level, the basketball style that we're playing, and it's nice to see competition here in our region.
Yeah, that is right, Jegs. And don't expect Gilas to slow down.
Yeah.
But I'm really saying that other Southeast Asian countries are really catching up to the level of play that we are having. So it's really nice to see that competition in the Southeast Asia is really picking up. But I'm really excited to see what Indonesia, what Singapore, and what Malaysia can do in
Yeah.
the next phase here in the Southeast
Yeah.
Asian Games.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're still the leaders here in Southeast Asia. They're just catching up, and also the pro guys are really, showing what they can really do. But let's talk about, of course, another solid event that happened in the past week, the PBA Draft. Of course, we were seeing a lot of new people coming in. The PBA, of course, the oldest professional basketball league in Asia. I have the list right here. The first pick was Brandon Ganuelos Rosser by Blackwater. Jeremiah Gray for Terra Firma. I don't think that's a surprise for anyone. Brandon Ganuelos Rosser is badly needed by Blackwater because they need a big, especially with the Philippine Cup coming in. Jeremiah Gray, of course, an elite talent. Of course, he got injured in that 3x3 stint with TNT, but I'm pretty sure with the strength and conditioning, the sports science everywhere, he's gonna bounce back and still produce here in the PBA. But Jello, if you have the list right there, do you have any surprises here in the PBA draft?
I actually do have surprises. I'm not surprised with. No, I'm actually surprised with the back-to-back picks of Converge Fiber Xers that they got back-to-back bigs. They
Yeah,
had Ian Bot at number 3 and Justin Aran at number 4. That's great for them, knowing that they don't have a really great big man. No, someone that would complement add height together with Ben Adamos.
yeah, of course.
Another
And of
surprise.
course, with Abu Trotter also not, I think he has plans of playing abroad. So
He has yet to sign. He has yet to sign a contract with Converge. And another surprise for me is that 7th pick of NLEX, their first round pick in Tyrus Hill. Tyrus Hill has been out of the Philippine basketball scene for quite some time since the pandemic. And
yeah,
we played against him, and we know his athleticism, his strength, his everything. But it's a surprise for me because he was a number 7 over Javi Gomez de Leano or
yeah,
a Lohera, who's been like obviously showing a lot of things, most especially Javi. And I really think Javi is the perfect guy for NLEX. Like if
yeah,
you've seen the guys like Calvin
yeah. The
Oftana,
way they
he's-
play, like
the way he
stretch
plays,
3 4s. Yeah, exactly.
it's
Yeah,
really
and
it's really yeah, it's really interesting to see how Tyrus Hill works with the NLEX system.
yeah, we'll never know, right? Because um, when you talk about uh, Tyrus Hill, yes, he's athletic, but you'll never know with the probably the work that he put in the states. The NLEX Road Warriors probably saw a different Tyrus Hill coming back. Of course, Javi very happy for our guy Barangay Ginebra will definitely have a good one with Javi there. Kurt Lohera, our UAAP boy Sean Aldefonso also going up at 9th and 10th respectively. Mark Dyke chosen by Blackwater, Keith Zaldivar to finish off that first round. And some names here in the second round that we can talk about. Maybe Tyler Teo for the Phoenix Fuel Masters. What do you think of this fit, Jello?
That's for me. That's a steal of the draft. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I really thought that Tyler Pia should be a late first rounder,
Yeah,
but again, but other teams had their needs, so I think Phoenix is a perfect fit for Tyler, knowing
and I think
his
they're also preparing for maybe Matthew Wright not signing with them because they signed a bunch of two guards. Enzo Hoson also was picked up by Phoenix, so they're putting on a lot of guards in their
they got
team.
they got
Yep.
Encho Serrano at number
Yeah.
7 round.
Exactly. Exactly. So they're using their picks to maybe prepare for that situation whenever that happens, right? But yeah, it was a great PBA draft. Of course, our guy JJ Espanola, shout out to you, who was drafted 10th in the third round by Meralco. So it's gonna be interesting. Fourth and fifth round, a lot of teams passed already, but I think a lot of people got picked. So shout out to all the PBA draftees, the new guys that are coming in the PBA, and I hope you guys get signed and you guys show out with your teams and also in the league. We'll see you guys there. Now, Jels, let's take a look back at game two first of the UAAP Finals, UP versus Ateneo, because the last time that we talked about the UAAP, we were talking about that game one victory, and you predicted that Ateneo would win game two. Um, let's take a look back at that one, Jello.
Yeah, and again, expect both teams. This is a hot take for me.
Okay,
This
you
is a
gotta
hot
listen,
take.
guys. This is Mr. Hot Takes right here.
This is a hot take for me. This is a hot take for me. Ateneo will win game two. Expect that. They
Woo!
will win game two.
All right, to all
Prove
the
me.
UP fans, UP community listening to this
I'm
episode,
sorry.
please
I'm
get mad at
sorry.
this guy. You can everything, all your thoughts, all your emotions, you can comment it down below.
I'm sorry.
Please get mad at Gelo Vito. With me, I'm neutral. I'm not saying anything. Gelo, why?
I'm
Why do you
sorry.
think
I'm
Ateneo will
sorry.
win it?
I just have this gut feel that Coach Coach Tab
Hmm.
Coach Tab hasn't really given up on the series. I know he still has something in his sleeve. You just really can't count out the defending champions. You know, you know, the mind of that coaching staff, that Ateneo coaching staff, can really make good adjustments. And for sure, right after that game one, they were already watching that game already and already scouting and already making adjustments. So
Yeah.
so it wasn't for me. It wasn't really a surprise that it would reach a game three. You
Yeah.
know, again, Ateneo's the defending champions. Ateneo has been that team for 3 years, for 3 seasons straight, and it's just that UP had that that grit and grind mentality coming into that third game. So it wasn't really a surprise for me that it reached the game.
I agree. I agree. For me, I think the biggest adjustment for the Blue Eagles was really countering the ball screen defense of UP, because UP was really um, up in the level of the screener every time they hedge on that ball screen, and the counter of Ateneo was just a quick slip by Kouame, and that really produced a lot of damage in that game too. Dave played well in that game too. A lot of heroes for them, and of course, how can we forget about that end game in game two? Of course, it's not always gonna go UP's way. In game two, that end game belonged to Ateneo because they got a couple of turnovers. They forced turnovers at the end for breakaway layups, and that gave them the cushion to win in game two and tie the series at one apiece. And you're correct, Jello. You can't really count out Coach Tab and his coaching staff and his players and the whole Ateneo community, because they're never gonna go down without a fight, and they're
Yeah.
always gonna be a tough team to beat. And that's what happened in actually all the games here in the series. It was just a quick back and forth, and the end game it belonged to them. Now let's move on. Uh, after before we move on to the game three, after that game two result, how did you think game three would play out? Did you think Ateneo was gonna go out with their momentum, or did you think that UP was gonna come back from that loss?
Actually, Jegs, entering that game three, I really have no predictions because it was an even Steven. It's gonna be
Yeah.
an even Steven game. Everyone knew that anybody could win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody could win that game. Like I never had any predictions, but I knew that it would literally go down the wire. Like I've talked to people about it, and the one who's the one who would give up first, that team would lose. But
Yeah.
nobody gave up until that
Exactly.
last possession. And again, it was really entering that game three, it was really, I really didn't know who would win, to be
Yeah, we
honest.
were we were we were talking about this, Jello, before game three. Like, all bets off. Like, there are no excuses. This is gonna be the last game. At the end of the day, we're gonna have a champion. So no excuses. If you have injuries, if
Yeah.
you're
Just
tired,
leave
if
it
you're
all out.
fatigued,
Just leave it all out on the floor.
give it all out on the floor, and the team who will do that will win the championship. And I think that's what happened. But when you talk about like predicting what was going to happen in game 3, in my perspective, UP never lost back-to-back games this season.
Yeah.
So every time they would lose, they would always bounce back. They would always make the right adjustments uh, to bounce back and win the next game. And I think that's what they did. Although this game 3 could have gone both ways,
Yeah.
um, it could have really gone both ways, but I think it's just really just destiny when UP won this. But let's go back to that first half, Jello. What happened in that first half? Ateneo only scored 27 points in that first half, but it was really a low scoring ball game, even
Yeah.
for you.
UP really started well.
Mhm.
That's the number one on the checklist. They have to start right. It was an 11-17 first quarter lead for UP, and you gotta give credit to UP's defense. Again, they did what they had to do. They were denying every single handoff, every single backdoors. They stayed with that game plan
Yeah,
from the start of the series. That they deny everything, you funnel it to everything to Malick Diouf. And again, it has been successful all throughout the season, and they really stuck with that. So
yeah,
again, you got to give credit to UP's defense, and for Ateneo, again, they were getting good looks, they were getting great shots, and SJ really started that game well. Um, Rafi Ange was there, but there were times that shots weren't really falling for them.
yeah,
They
exactly.
had good looks, they had open shots, but at the start of the first half, they were really making those shots, those typical shots that they're really taking off their place. They
Yeah.
weren't just making.
Let's talk about SJ real quick because that was a stellar performance by this guy. He was lights out. I heard that he put up extra shots in the morning before this game, and that work really worked for him in this ball game. He carried this whole Ateneo team all the way into the overtime period. Every time he has the ball, he would make the right decisions. He would score the basketball, shoot from the outside, a couple of mid-range jumpers, very solid, and then also a couple of short-range floaters that it was tough to guard for the UP defense. And talking about this guy, SJ Balangel, he also, if you want to listen to one of the podcasts here in Globally Ball, and he was a guest in Hang Time, episode 52. Make sure you guys check that out. This guy is a hooper. This guy is one of the most humble guys I've ever met. And I think that's why he's having the success that he's getting here in the Philippine basketball scene. So, SJ Balangel, if you're listening to this, shout out to you. One heck of a ball game you played in game 3. Props. You were a fighter. Your heart was there, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna lead this Ateneo team once again to great heights. More as we play more UAP games, more UAP seasons. But Jello, let's talk about the other side. We had so many different heroes for UP. Just
Yeah.
let's talk about Harold Alarcon first. I think we should talk about him because I think he was the X factor in this ball game.
That guy, he's not really a revelation for me because coming into the season, you already knew what he can do. During his high school stint, I've played. I've coached against that guy, and he's a really tough guy. He's a great defender, great on ball defender, great one-on-one defender, and when he's needed to score, he will score. And that's what happened. That's what happened in game 3. He got that very crucial offensive rebound
Yeah,
and that putback that really made that lead of Ateneo more manageable, and his intensity is everywhere. And
exactly.
if you're gonna check his stats, he played 24 minutes, 8 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. I mean, it's not really good on paper, but the intangibles, the intangibles, the things that you don't see in the stat sheet. That's what he's doing, and it's been incredible. It's been great. It's been a great pickup for UP, and for a rookie to do those things, uh, sky's the limit for that guy.
I mean, not even surprised with the Coach Goldwyn boys. As rookies, they're just different. They step up in big games. When you talk about Harold Alarcon, it's more of his energy that was really felt during that game. Defensive intensity. Every time James Spencer would come out, I think he was the replacement. To guard David Defonso. There was a time he was guarding SJ Balangel, I think, and I think that was his main role to really provide pressure on the guards of Ateneo. And then if he scores, that's a bonus because a lot of his points came off transition, off turnovers that he probably had some part in forcing. So I think Harold Alarcon, you should give props to him. Unheralded hero for UP. Now let's talk about the next hero, CJ Cancino. The guy was injured, dislocated his patella in that LaSalle series. Didn't play for game one and game two in the finals, and came out game three with fires blazing. Jello, talk about this guy.
The guy's only played 12 minutes. He played 12 minutes and hoisted up like what? He was 5 of 8 from the field, 40 for 14 points. Again, he's the guy. He was like my Micah Gulangan said. He was the missing piece in that championship run, and that missing piece was so timely that he did all of that. His first shot was already a 3-pointer, and he already made it once he entered that floor. Like I wasn't really expecting that much for him, and I really thought that that first, I think first quarter when he entered, I really thought that was the last time he would enter that game. So
Yeah.
he was just take some shots, and then make it, and then sit down on the bench, cheer on his teammates. But no, he was there when he was needed the most, exposed, especially that tying 3-pointer in the overtime. That was huge.
That
Just
was huge.
that was
That was huge. When you talk about CJ Cancino in this ball game, you knew that he wasn't gonna dribble a lot because of his knee injury. So every time he had that ball, his first option was to shoot. If the shot was there, if the shot was open, he was gonna take it, and he made it. So it's a different thing when you take the shots. It's also another different thing when you make the shots in the finals with huge pressure in game three. And also talk about how Coach Goldwyn put him in the right moments when the matchup was correct, when it was like a few minutes left in the quarter, because he knew that CJ wasn't going to be defending very well, because he couldn't move laterally. It was really obvious. If you're a hooper, you would see CJ Cancino wasn't really moving very well defensively, and I think some of the times Ateneo actually took advantage of that, but his
yeah.
offense canceled out that. He made tough shots. I think his threes really made UP just stick it with Ateneo, especially when Ateneo was having that run. And that's crazy. When Ateneo went into that zone to tie the ball game, to force overtime, CJ Cancino hit that tough 3-pointer, bank 3-pointer in the middle. I mean, how tough is that shot, Jello? I mean,
And the fact that it was challenged, because
yeah,
SJ was the one who challenged this shot. SJ knew that he was gonna take that shot. SJ knew that when CJ comes in, CJ came in just for that.
yeah,
Basically, everybody knew SJ. Everybody knew that CJ just came in just to take that shot.
yeah. I
And
totally agree. I totally agree with you,
And
Jello.
great thinking of Maymay and the five guys who's inside who recognize that zone, who
Yeah,
recognize who's because for sure during that timeout, Coach Gold was already queuing up a play for a matchup for a man-to-man defense, but great recognition from Maymay and all those guys who's inside who recognize that zone. But
Yeah,
and
they
then
didn't even run anything anymore. Just they just swung the ball.
oh yeah,
Yeah, swung the ball, found the open man. So props to the UP team. Really, they're really a well-oiled machine. Now let's move on to another hero in that ball game. Let's talk about Malick Diouf and how
yeah.
he guarded Ange Kouame and how he really was the anchor both on offense and on defense. The Finals MVP, Malick Diouf.
You know, Malik has been steady. Malik has been steady all throughout the series, actually all throughout the second round, because we knew that Malik was in the start of the season. Malik wasn't really showing that much because I think he was injured. I think he was uh, yeah. I think he was injured. He wasn't really 100% coming into the season. But as the season progressed and entering the second round, and into the final four and into the final series, he really showed what he can do. He was that he was the rim protector, and for someone who's 6'10", for
Yeah,
him guard ball screens and being confident in trapping all those ball screens, it's really a great sight to see because he's still gonna play for like another 2 or 3, I think,
yeah.
years for
You
Philippines. Someone
you Yeah, you love the effort coming from Malick Diouf. I think there was
exactly.
one moment where he showed on the ball screen. Ateneo hit the roller, and he was still there to challenge, I think, Ange Kouame's shot. So,
Exactly.
I mean, like, just the motor coming from this dude, Malick Diouf, he's been working with Coach Mo every day in the pandemic. There were times that I kind of helped also working with him, but Coach Mo, props to you for making Malik ready for the season. Shout out to you. Malik Diouf, I think, was the game changer here because we finally found a guy who can match
Yeah.
up with Ange Kouame in terms of length. Although Ange Kouame still produced numbers, he's still the MVP. But
Yeah.
Malik Diouf, he's nothing new already in trying to defend Ange Kouame because he had experience playing with him back in the D League when he was still with CEU, and then of
Yeah.
course now in UP against Ateneo. I'm pretty sure he kind of knows the tendencies already of Ange Kouame. Now, let's move on, Jello, to the heroes of the hero, probably the toughest player in that game three. My JD, whatever you call him, Kagulangan, he just made everyone lose their minds with his performance in that overtime period. My Kagulangan, kagulo ang nangyari when my Kagulangan was just stepped up in that game. Just talk about his performance, Jello. He made I think out of the 10 points in the
8 points.
overtime, he had 10 points. Before that, he had a layup. That's
Yeah.
that transition layup, and then he hit the three after that offensive rebound, and then he made that assist to Malik Diouf for the dunk, and then that last three. So he was responsible for 10 points in that overtime. Just my Kagulangan, how did he take over this ball game, Gels?
I've known this guy since he was still in LaSalle Green Hills, and I already knew what he can do, but not at that level yet. I know he can take over. I know he can put up some shots, but not at this moment. This
Yeah,
was for all the marbles. This was for everything. This is what, and again, nobody knew at that moment that he would take over. Because we can always, like Jex, we've talked about who's gonna take over for UP in that game three. We're all talking about Ricci. We're all talking about Carl Tamayo. We're all talking
yeah.
about CJ or Malik.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody knew that JD Kagulangan would do such thing. Again, in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 possessions of UP, it was all him. That
Yeah, he
offensive
waved off
rebound,
Richie Rivero. He waved off Richie,
he
Gels.
waved off his senior. He waved off his senior. He waved off James. He just said, go to the corner, go to the corner. Malik, give me a ball screen. That's it. I'm done. That's what he
Yeah,
did. In those 3 offensive possessions of UP, that's what he did. He just asked
exactly.
for a ball screen. He created plays for everyone. And what I've noticed because the first ball screen with Malick Diouf, Ange showed. When he showed, pick and roll, dunk for Malick Diouf. The second time around, people were telling me, "Oh, Ange Kouame should have switched on that ball screen. Ange should have."
If you're a hooper, you're not
Again,
gonna do that.
again, me as a big man, me thinking that he gave off a pocket pass. So I'd be thinking, who will I defend? The roller or the man with the ball? But again, you wouldn't really think about it anymore because again, Gian Mamuya, the number one on-ball defender of Ateneo, is on my mind.
Yeah.
Ange Kouame was on Malick Diouf.
Yeah.
But again, my with everything that he got, he just took over and took that shot.
Exactly. That last three by my, for me personally, as an analyst, as a hooper, as a point guard, that last three by my Kagulangan was produced by his pass earlier to Malick
Yeah.
Diouf. Because when he ran that pick and roll, it was a spread pick and roll with one guy on the other side. Dave Aldefonso wasn't there to tag on the roll of Malick Diouf, that huge dunk by Malick Diouf. That pass by Kagulangan opened things up for that last play. Because if he didn't make that pass, if they didn't make the proper adjustment, the proper read in that play, in that possession, that three of my Kagulagan wouldn't be open. Because
Yeah.
there would be no threat on the roll because my didn't make that pass before. Now he
Yeah.
made it. He made it in that overtime period. He made the pass. Now the next play, you're correct. You're correct. Ange Kouame was thinking that, oh no, it might be the same play. They might hit Malick Diouf again on the roll, and that just opened things up for JD Kagulangan to go for that step back, and hit that three, which he said that he has been working on millions of times every morning with Coach Pat and Better Basketball. So shout out to Coach Pat and Better Basketball. Hard work works. My Kagulangan, you are a legend. You will always be remembered in the UP community. Hats off to you. Jello, what was your reaction when my hit that shot?
When he released that ball, I knew it was going in. I knew it was going.
For
Because I
some
was on the
reason,
side.
right? For some reason, you kind of
For
knew
some
it was
reason,
going
I
in.
knew
Yeah.
it was going in.
Yeah.
Like when I was actually tracing the ball when he released that shot. I wasn't really looking. I wasn't really looking at elsewhere. I was just tracing the ball going into the hoop, and
Yeah.
I knew when he released that it was going in. It was going. It was
Crazy,
going.
Jello. My
It was.
reaction the whole time. My reaction the whole time. Actually, that whole game, probably the last 2 minutes when Mamu hit that three, I thought it was gonna be over.
Yeah.
Kagulangan when he got the rebound, that air ball by Malick, he saw
Turn
the
around.
he saw the shot clock on the
He
other
did
side.
not
That's how
have a-
smart Kagulangan is. He
Yeah.
went to the 3-point line and hit a turning double pump three. When he made that three, Jello, I knew something was
Something.
up. Something
Yeah.
was up with
Something was
what's
up.
happening with UP. And I think that's destiny, Jello. Also because on the other side, SJ Belangel was missing open layups.
Open
Like
layups.
they were good looks for SJ Belangel. They missed, and it just really, I think, in a different universe that could have gone in. Like the putback by Ange Kwame also missed and opened things up for UP to finally seal that victory. My reaction the whole time, Jello, I'm just like, what the hell is happening? That was my reaction the whole time. When my hit the three, I was like this the whole time. I'm like, there's no way this actually happened. Like we are the freaking champions of the
Yeah.
UAAP after 36 years. Tears were shed, Ja. The tears were shed.
Yeah.
I'm
Tears
just
were
so
shed.
proud of the boys. So
Yeah.
happy for the UP community, to all the people who trusted the process, to all the people who were there when things were bad, when things were getting good, to all the people who made it happen. These guys who made it happen, the coaching staff. Thank you so much. Because look at this, the UP community, we're so proud of you. Look at this, we have a video right here actually of UP alumni, people from the UP community. They were watching from the university hotel. These are the boys from the 80s. So they watched that last
It was
championship.
that '86 championship. They was there. You were
Yes.
there when they won in
So
'86.
36 years they waited for that moment to happen once again. The area boys, as they call it, take a look. That's just pure nostalgia, and that happened everywhere, Jella. That happened in UPLB. That happened in a lot of sports bars around the Philippines. I mean, it woke up the entire nation. It woke up the entire UP community, and this team inspired a whole different generation. First of hoopers, of citizens, and
Yeah,
everything that has happened within that week. I think UP just really took a mark. They made the mark in history, and it's just crazy. And I'm just so proud of the boys, Jello. So proud.
yeah.
Did you cry, Jess? Did you cry?
Bro, come on.
Bro,
Come
I
on.
cried, bro.
Who
And
wouldn't
then
cry?
I
Who
hugged
wouldn't,
everyone beside me, bro. Like, we
who
also have a
wouldn't
picture
cry?
when we hugged. Yeah, I remember that. Just down.
Yeah.
That was
But
probably a
again,
moment I will never forget. Also, Jello. Also, jealous. I did not take a single video. I just wanted to absorb everything that was happening. I did not put out my phone. I did
no.
not do anything to ruin the moment. I was just there,
Same.
absorbing the moment, enjoying and seizing the freaking moment, Jara. Like, that is just crazy what happened. And I'm just so proud to be, at least to say, that be part of the journey and to witness what
Was
happened
it?
right in front of
Was
my
it?
eyes. And you were
Yeah.
you were a part of it too, Jello. You were a part of it when we celebrated the bonfire, Jello. Um, they thanked a lot of people who were part of the journey. How was that bonfire experience for you?
It was more of like a culmination of everything that has happened to the program, to the UP community, and it just brought back a lot of memories from that
Yeah,
very, very,
of
very
course.
first bonfire back in 2014. You weren't there; you were in Dubai competing for the national team,
Yeah.
but it just brought a lot of it just brought a lot of memories, a lot of flashbacks when everything was still a struggle for the community, and just to see the entire UP community be brought together after winning it, after winning the championship. It was a great sight to see. I've seen Coach Joey Mendoza
Of
was
course.
my
Your first
first
coach.
my first coach in UP back when I was still in Team B. I was so happy to see him, and he was so happy. He was so happy that he was so happy to experience and to still be part of that bonfire. And it was and a lot of former teammates, former players like uh, Mark Lopez was there, Mark Orwena was there, a lot of guys that Johnny Hippolito was there, all of those players from back with the dark ages was there. So it's really a great sight to see.
I agree, Jel. I think that you're correct. That is the right term. Just a culmination of all the events that happened leading up to this moment. And I think, all the stakeholders, they deserve it. They deserve what happened. All the people that were part of the journey, they deserve it. Shout out to the team for nowhere to go but up for making the bonfire happen, because I think the UP community really deserves it.
Yeah,
And from the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank the UP community for always being there. I mean, through the ups and the downs, UP community, they were there to support us. They were there to support this team, and until the end, they were there in the bonfire. Everyone from around the Philippines, around the world, showing their support to the team. And it's just crazy how these things turned around from broken courts, from rain dropping when it was raining in the old CHK gym. We had to put
yeah.
up buckets to make sure that the floor won't be wet. We had to put up
That's an
towels
extra
in there.
defender. That's an extra
Exactly, Jelle.
defender.
Like, different experience, Jelle. Like, we didn't have much food, recovery food after practice. What else? Like, There would be times that our bus, we had a bus, we didn't take jeeps. I think that's an exaggeration. We had buses probably sometimes the aircon was broken, things, little things like that. I think that just made this moment much, much sweeter.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
the victory, you appreciate it more, especially the dorm guys, people who came from the province before, who would, after practice, they wouldn't have food because close na yung mga restaurants.
Yes.
Even us, we were lucky because we had homes to go home to. So
Go.
really, we were blessed, we were grateful. But for the dorm guys who sacrificed for Agustini Amar, for Ensoy, for Mark Huruena, for our batchmates Jello who were there in the dorm, and even way back for our seniors Mikey Reyes, Jet Manuel, even the Marvin Cruz era, Paulo Mendoza, Totti Almeida, Nico mentioned
That was
everything. Exactly. That was for everyone, for the UP community, and I'm just so proud of the boys, Jello. Who is your next man up for this championship of UP, Jess? Before we end this segment,
no doubt, man. It's gotta be JD Cabulan, bro. It has to be that guy. It has to be that guy. And the way he took over that last three possessions of UP, that made him the next man up for game three.
exactly. And Jello, for me, the next man up, I'd give it to the UP community for sticking it out for 36 years of
Yeah, that's true.
supporting, 36 years of
Yeah,
criticizing. Just that's the correct word. It's
yeah.
criticizing, I think. But that's I think that is necessary for progress to be made, for
Yep.
people to criticize. That way, we know what to improve on as part of the UP community as well. Yeah, shout out to the UP community. And do you think Jello they will repeat? I mean, two players graduating, the core and the coaching staff will still be there.
Yeah, they will make a repeat.
Mm.
They will make a repeat.
Is that a hot take?
They will make a repeat. That's a hot take.
How many
They'll make
times?
a
Just one time or two or three times? Will you copy Coach Joe Lipa saying UP will dominate for 2 to 3 years? I think UP will dominate in the next 5 years because of
yeah.
all the recruits.
Bro, look at like looking forward. Let's just make this quick. Looking forward, Jigs. When you look at the entire pool of the current lineup of that team, the most of them will still play three, 4 years.
5 years, bro. You have Antonio
5 years,
Sebio,
and you still
who's
have you
also a
still have guys
huge
on
talent.
the so so that's your future. That's already like nobody expected them to win
Exactly. You
this
have
season.
Galinato coming in Jello. You have Aldous Tortulas from the UPIS program, who's a legit 6'5" athletic guy who
So
the room for growth is just unlimited for
yeah,
Tortulas. I've seen this guy play super athletic, and I think the UP community should watch out for him as well. But Jello, this was a great one, great episode as always. Again, so proud of you, so proud of us, so proud
brother,
of the
us.
UP community, so proud of the boys for making it happen. Proud of the coaching staff, Coach Pat, of course. Love you, Coach. Everyone, Coach Bo, you gotta
Coach
shout
Bo,
out Coach
we
Bo,
gotta give credit,
Papa
Coach
Bo,
Bo.
for turning the program around. Papa Bo, if you're listening to this, we love you. Boss Ags, if you're listening to this,
Boss
we love
Renan,
you. Salamat, Boss Renan. Everyone, Ma'am Robina, Direct Mandy, everyone that was part of the
everyone,
Nowhere to Go
everyone.
program. Boss JJ, shout out to you also. I watched the game with him. He was the one who gave me tickets, and we had a solid, conversation about UP and just celebrating the win. Everyone, all the UP alumni that was part of, nowhere to go but up. Shout out to you guys. You guys made it happen. This is your victory as well, and this is it. Next man up podcast episode 2. It was such an honor to be talking about this UP championship. Jello, any last words before we wrap things up?
We are the champions. We're
We
the
are the
champions.
champs. We're the
We're the
champions.
champions. We are the
No other words to describe it. And this is gonna be, they can't take things, away from this UP community. UAAP season 84 is done, fully alive, champions for
champions
life.
for
That's a perfect tagline. UP, you guys are champions for life. Peace. This has been Next Man Up. We'll see you in the next episode.